Alrighty, this is for geometry. I'm going to go through chapter 11 review. I'm not going to actually do every problem. I'm going to be looking at your test, which I've already done, and I made your test sort of. I say sort of. I am so pleased with your test just because I found this fantastic site that helps make these kind of tests, and it gives you an idea by having the multiple choice if you're on the right track or not. All right. But that being said, show your work, show your formulas. Because if you don't, I can't give you full credit. And I believe on this, when I'm looking at your test and I've worked everything out and it's all there. Um, if you follow the directions and round to the nearest hole, everything's good. Um, and I am probably, this is my probably because I can't promise, it depends on the scenario, but um, because there are only 8 problems, there were more, but I decided not to overwhelm you. There were actually like 2.5 pages of problems that were great, but having this first page really tells me whether you know it or not. So I'm going to probably be doing 4 points for you having the formula, the correct formula, 4 points for you showing your work, okay, and 4 points for the correct answer. So obviously they're all partial credits, but the more that you show, the better your work is, the better your grade's going to be. All right. So this is going to be a review. I'm going to turn the camera around so you won't see my face anymore, and I'm going to be working on a sheet of paper like I always am. It won't be 100% clear because I don't have that grade of camera, but you're going to have to pay attention and pay attention to what I'm saying things are, and then you can go from there. All right. So if you would look in your book, I am on page 496. Okay. I am looking at number one. Number one is the cone shape. All right. And the first thing that I would want you to do, if this was the problem on your test, I don't think I've drawn that very accurately. Sorry, Leo. Hopefully you can kind of visualize this is the height. Okay. And also on your test, you'll be able to use that fantastic um, formula sheet. Let me see if I can show you what it looks like. I don't see. There it is. Okay. I found a very fun, cute formula sheet. Sorry, guys, it's cute. Um, but this is what you're going to be able to use on your test. Okay. I do want to go over one thing so it doesn't confuse you. On this, if you're looking at your version, if you're not, go grab it, pause the video, and come back. Okay. So if you're looking at this right here, this is what they're referring to as slant height. And over here in little red kind of pencil, it says not slant height. So when you're doing your formula, which is very, very blurry right now, but you're looking at your actual one that is not blurry, this is what they're calling not slant height. Height for cones is straight up and down. They are not referring to when, let's say you see number 3. Everybody look at number 3 in your book. You see how that height is kind of off to the side. I'm going to draw a very sketchy version, but I'm going to make the bottom a circle. Okay. See how it kind of was slanted, and then it said its height came down here, and it has a right triangle. I didn't draw that very well, but let's say it's like this, okay? And it's slanted, the height is straight down. That's the height that you're looking for. Hopefully I didn't confuse anybody by that. If I did, then just ignore what I just said, okay? But let's go with the formula. Our formula is volume is equal to, because this is a pyramid, remember it deals with 1/3. Okay, and I'm going to actually use the formula that is on the sheet of paper so that I don't confuse any of you. But it is 1/3 pi r squared h. Okay, so it is basically, this is what I'm going to color in. It is the area of a base, which happens to be right here, okay, times the height of the pyramid, and you have to include this factor of 1/3, because if you don't, what you basically have done, no basically about it, but what you've done is you found what this is, 7, and this is 16, if you don't include that 1/3. And this is not what we're going for in this particular one, okay? So this is 1/3 pi. I want you to leave the pi in there, all right? And our radius happened to be 7, okay? Now, if it would, let me go over this. If it would have given you something like this, okay, where it gave you the diameter, just cut the diameter in half, and then you will have the radius. So this is 7 squared times your 16. Okay, normally at this point, I would see is anything on top. I'm going to put everything all over one so you can kind of see, is anything on top divisible by that 3? But nothing is divisible by that 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what I would do in my calculator. Okay, so let's see if I can turn this around. It won't be completely clear on the calculator because of the resolution of the camera. But what I'm going to do, let's see if I can do this. Okay, so I would definitely go 7 squared. I got my 49, and then I'm going to times it by 16. Okay, and so I would actually write this down just because, you know, I'm the math teacher. Okay, I would write it like that. Okay, and before I did anything, because look what happens, it goes on and on forever. So this would be a fantastic answer for me. And then whatever the unit would be, and we're talking about volume. Okay, don't forget your units. If you went ahead and did the, let's see if I can scoop this up. This decimal, and you didn't validate that that 3 went on forever, I would be counting off. Okay, I also count off if you drop your pies. I also count off if you don't have your unit. So please be careful. The accurate answer would be this or this. Okay, so either one of these, I prefer this. It makes it prettier to me. You may not like it, but I like it. Okay, there are some of you that if you wanted 261 and 1/3 pi u cube, that would be fine as well. But I still prefer this one. Okay, all right, so that was number 1. Okay, number 1 is done. I'm working similar ones to the test. Okay, remember the test is not open book, not open notes. You may use only this or your packet, but your packet's not going to really help you more than this. Okay, but I'm very okay with you using this. Don't forget your formulas. Okay, all right. So then number 6, I wish I would have drawn it ahead of time, but hopefully you're looking at your book, and I'm going to go ahead and draw only the base. The base is a hexagon, all right? They have gone ahead and labeled these 3 only because the other 3 were behind and they didn't want to mess up anything with the numbers. Of course, I don't know why they didn't do that, but I'm just making that up. But that's what I think is the reason. You will need to know how many sides there are, and there are 6 in this case, because watch this. If I had, okay, so I said I wouldn't draw it, but maybe I will. That should have been like dotted. Okay, so let's say it goes up like this, all right? your volume formula is not a 1/3, right? It is the base times the height. Okay. Now, in this case, this is a hexagonal prism. Okay. And it says the general prisms is this. Okay. And that will work. But you need to know how to find the area of that base. And fortunately for you, a lot of the ones that we've been working have had an A for apothegm. Let me redraw this base. It's terrible. Sorry. They have this apothegm. And in this case, it is not labeled, is it? Very interesting. I just noticed that. Interesting. I'm going to come back to that because that is very strange that that apothegm is not labeled. Okay, so I kind of was caught off. I didn't even do all these problems because I thought this is going to be fine. I'm going to go ahead and name the apothegm, okay? Because it looks like either there's a misprint and it's not having it. I don't know. I don't know. But we're going to name it, okay? I'm going to say it's 6. Not 16, but 6. I'm going to just go ahead and do that so that I can continue working this and not waste any time of yours, okay? The other ones on the test are very clearly labeled. Every single one of them are clearly labeled with the apothegm, okay? So you don't have to guess or you don't have to worry, oh my goodness, how do I do this? Okay, so in this case, we have this formula 1/2 AP. Okay, now this was the area of a polygon when we had the apothegm, and P stands for perimeter times the height. So don't forget about that. Okay, so we have 1/2 times the apothegm, which I named as 6, okay, and times the perimeter. And this is where it comes into play. 8 times how many sides there are. So I'm going to actually show every part of my work like this. Times, and my height in this case was 23. Okay, now one of the things that I like to do is I like to reduce beforehand. Okay, I'm going to do 2 different ways so that if you get confused by my reducing, then you can not stay confused. You can pay attention to this one down here. Okay, so I'm going to do, this is the same thing right here. Here, I'll even put this in parentheses also. Okay, so I'm going to do this right here. Ta-da. Okay, this 2 goes into this 6 3 times. And then I am done reducing. I don't have to divide each part by 2 because these are not added together. They are just multiplied, and you can think of it like this. Okay, so at that point, that's when I take my handy dandy calculator out. Let's see if I can show you. And we will multiply 3 times. I'm going to go ahead and multiply 8 times 6 in my head times 48, and then times 23 equals 3, 3, 1, 2, and this is my volume. In this case, I do not have anything over there, so I realize what the book did just now as I'm doing this. I realized what the book did over here when it didn't give you the apothegm. And I'm not going to confuse you by that, but just in case you were wondering, it didn't give you the apothegm because it didn't really need to. Because these are going to be equilateral triangles. And we know this because the amount of times that we proved that a hexagon, I don't know if you remember this from class, it's just a long time ago. If you have a hexagon, then you divided that by 6. And each of these triangles are 60 60, 60. So this was an equilateral triangle. So you could use this. Oh, let's see, I think it's this over this, that formula to figure it out. So that being said, the book did not make a mistake, but I was not seeing what it did. So you will not have something like that on your test, but you will have stuff where you have to have the apostrophe. All right, so we did it this way. If you are not wanting to cancel, which you should be able to be grown up and cancel already because you are in the 10th grade. And so we have 6 times 48 equals, and then I'm going to multiply that by 23. And then I'm going to divide that by 2. And I still get the same answer, 3, 3, 1, 2. Okay, so just in case you wondered, this problem that I just did, giving you the 6 as the apothem, is not going to have the same answer as this problem that the book was identifying. But again, on your test, I do not have any that you are required to do that for. So that is what we're dealing with. And yeah, so that was number 6. Either way, you're going to get the same answer. Okay. Another thing that I want to go over before you take your test is, what is your base? Okay. Because this is the formula, right, for volume. Okay. So if you're looking at 2 figures like this, and you go, okay, well, this has a triangle on top and a triangle on bottom, but I also have this rectangle and this rectangle and this rectangle back here. Which one is your base? You need to ask yourself, what is parallel to something else? And that is going to be your base. So for instance, right here, those 2 shapes are parallel. So the base for this is your triangle. Okay, so you would, in this case, use 1/2 base times height times the big H. This is the area of the triangle formula. Okay, and then on this one, this is unusual because really you could use anything as your base because you have 2 parallels everywhere because it's a parallelogram. Okay, but let's work something like this. If you had this figure, okay, let me go to my next page. I've blown it up and I actually changed the limits or the amounts. Okay, and yes, it is sketched. Okay, so I could say the top one is my base, or the side one is my base, or the front one and the back one are my base. Okay, I'm going to work 2 different kinds. Okay, stretch your brain a little bit. Let's do the front side. So that 3 by 5. First of all, the volume of a parallelogram is, you can think of it as big B times H, or you can think of it as length times width times height. Okay, so we have an unusual situation here where you can have this. We're going to go ahead and work it like both of them, I guess. All right, so let's do base. If that 3 times 5 is our base, we would have 3 times 5. And then our height, this right here, our height would be this 6. Okay, right? Which, if you notice, it's the same thing as saying 3 times 5 times 6. Okay, so this would be 15 times 6, and that would give you 90 units cubed. Okay, now if I said my base would be the bottom one, so that would be 6 and 5. So this bottom right here and then the top are bases. Okay, so I could say volume is equal to base times the height. So if my base is 5 times 6, and my height would be over here. And so that would be 30 times 3. Voila. What happens? Same thing. So it doesn't really matter. As long as your math is correct, you're good. Okay? You could even use this formula. You've got lots of options. You have to know what your base is. Okay? So going back to this, figure out what your base is first. If it's a rectangular prism, pick one of the rectangles. If it's a triangular prism, pick the triangle. Okay, it will not work out well for you if you picked the rectangle because it has no parallel base. Okay, so that was 7. Okay, let's go back to number 6. I'm going to go back to number 6 in here. Okay, sorry, I'm going to try and get this so you can see the answer. Okay, what if 6 was a pyramid? What would you do different? Well, your volume would be equal to the 1/3 base times height. Okay, so you would take your 3, 3, 1, 2, and times it by 1/3. Okay, and let's see what you would get. Let's see if I can. All right. Okay, so we would have 3, 3, 1, 2 divided by 3 is equal to, well, that's fantastic. Even it worked out. This would be your answer. If number 6 was a pyramid, just don't forget that 1/3 part, kind of like this. Okay, if you're looking at your paper, okay, don't look at mine because mine is super blurry. Okay, this says 1/3 times pi times r squared times h. Don't forget, it's a cone. Like I believe maybe number 1 was a cone. Yeah, and we divided it by 3, or times divide 1/3. So this one, not a cone. We don't do the 1/3 part. This one, cone, or a pyramid. It's not a cone because obviously this is not a circle. Okay, so you should be good to go on your types of problems. We've gone over every type, even if we just mentioned it in passing and mentioned a cylinder. We did cylinder. Cylinder is not going to be 1/3 anything. It's going to be the area of a base. Oops, that's not supposed to be that. Okay, area of a base, pi r squared times your height. Okay, and meaning if they gave you, let's say they gave you a 10 down here, what would be your r? Well, your r would be 5. So don't forget, this is called r, not your diameter. All right, so that is all for now. If you have any questions, let's see if I can go there. If you have any questions, please send me a note. Otherwise, just watch this video. And again, your test is not open notes, open book. It is only this. You can use this. There we go. And or your packet. Okay. All right. God bless. Text me any questions. Bye.